button, it says we're live. So welcome everybody to Beyond the Cloud. It is Friday, July 3rd. So we just had Canada Day. For those Canadians, yay, happy Canada Day. We got a day off in the middle of the week, and yay for our American friends because they get a long weekend. So a little jealous of that. So happy Independence Day for our American friends. So yeah. So, oh gosh, I didn't even think about a question because we usually have a question and I didn't even think about a question today. So you know what, with regards to the rebranding that's been talked about, because anybody who's probably knows me, I've decided in the last 2 weeks, I was told to kind of push to do this, but it was all good. I'm so happy I did it, but I'm doing a rebranding. I'm taking the word bookkeeping completely out. We are no longer cloud bookkeeping services. We are cloud business services. And I think that will be a better reflection of what it is that we do, because only a small part of what we do is bookkeeping. And so Sherry Lee Mathers asked me, if you had known, 6-7 years ago, however long it was that I picked my name, if you had known now what you knew, or if you knew then what you knew now, would you still have picked the same name? And just without skipping a beat, I said, absolutely not. So let's just say with experience, and we'll go around as we introduce ourselves. If you knew then what you know now, would you make a change to your business name? And if so, what would it be? And maybe you're completely happy with it. And, for reasons because you were smart and thought ahead, instead of people that are very impulsive like me and just, okay, fine, do it. So I am Tanya Hills, Cloud Business Services, previously Cloud Bookkeeping Services, and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. And I just rebranded, and that was it. And the second thing I learned from that is my website the email address was way too long to type. Cloud Bookkeeping Services. Remember, there's 2 O's, 2 K's, 2 E's, and an S at the end of services. So learning from that, my website is cloudbusinessservices.ca, but I went and bought an additional domain, which is mycbs.ca, for our email addresses to make it easy. So that is what I have learned to put into place. So let's just go around. I can't remember what order everybody got here in, so we'll just go around clockwise the way in my view. So Carol, you're next.
Well, with my name, definitely, had I thought of it, I would have chosen something different, because Carol on Call Office Assistants is very long. I do have issues on a few different fronts.
It's not easy to shorten down either, is it?
Well, you know what? To do Carol on Call Bookkeeping, right? It would really, Lisa, I know where you're going.
Lisa gets it.
Yeah, it's and of course, yeah, anyways, I am looking to incorporate possibly this year, so I will do the rebrand and rechange at that time. What it's going to go to, I have no idea, and that's quite frankly why I haven't done anything. So I'm glad that you brought this up, because I mean, if I went to Carol on Call Business Services, that could really go the wrong way.
And do you want your name in it anymore?
Yeah.
Well, and then do I take my name right out of it?
Exactly.
So, and I can't really go with my last name because it's just even more complicated. But
so, and you know what?
When I married Jerry.
So one good thing that actually Kathy had mentioned earlier on today, that again, I would have learned from, so just pass this along, do with it what you will. But she asked me, again, knowing what you knew, would you have chosen a numbered company? Because I incorporate under Cloud Bookkeeping Services Limited. I am still legally Cloud Bookkeeping Services Limited, but the Cloud Business Services is a doing business as.
Right.
You know what? I would have actually kept it open and put it as a numbered company, so that I could now, it would have been easier to rebrand. So that was something that I learned from that as well.
Oh, so incorporate as a numbered company and then do business as.
Exactly, because now that numbered company, you can easily change that, and you're not, so now, because in all of my contracts, I have to put, Cloud Bookkeeping Services Limited, doing business as Cloud Business Services, hereinafter referred to as Cloud Business Services. And that's a lot. It would have been easier if I just have to plunk the numbered company in there.
I am sure that there is a way of changing the name in the incorporation documents. Companies do it all the time.
It's by they add on to doing business as. That's what I found. And I actually did spend not long, but I did spend 2 days doing my research. And this is what I came up with. So yeah, that was the easiest way.
Okay.
So
Well, that's where I'm at. I am at a crossroad, even though I just finished doing all my new marketing material. And you know what? I might just leave it as is. I haven't decided.
right.
And I mean, that's why I did go with office assistants as opposed to bookkeeping services, because I was more of an incorporated thought process that I was going to do bookkeeping and helping with an office setting, setting up, consulting, blah, blah, blah. So as far as the office assistants goes, it's fine, other than it is really long.
Yes. Well, and you know what, and that's great, because I think, the benefit of this question is anybody watching can hopefully take some of these from our experiences and our thoughts and maybe help them make, a different decision, a better decision, or, help them in their decision. So,
yeah. Well, and the Carol on Call, if you don't go that way, if you stay to the right side of the tracks, it actually helps with the virtual services that we're in now, that I am on call.
yes.
Not Carol on Call.
I'm not even going to say what I think of when I just hear of Carol on call.
Oh, trust me. I had a guy actually call me back one time and he says, who is this? So I told him the full name. He goes, oh, okay, well, I only got part of it on the message. And I thought it was my buddies playing a joke on me. I'm like, no. So, well, and my husband's side joke was, yeah, it's my wife's speaker service. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Lillian, you're next in my counterclockwise or clockwise.
That's a little better now.
We can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I'm Larson Bookkeeping Services, and the reason I ended up putting Larson in there is just wanted it to be easy for people to find me. So I figured if I threw that name in there. Like Tanya and everyone here, I really have started to rethink the bookkeeping. I want to keep it LBS. So it'll probably, if I change it, it'll probably be Larson Business Services. I'd like it really to be Larson Financial Services, but that's not going to keep the LBS in there.
Right.
So I'll have to think about that a little bit, but that is my quandary right now.
Nice. Well, and it's good to see that there's so many of us that are thinking about that, because I mean, the one thing that Sherry said to me, she says that will make a statement as being, some people consider me an influencer and, very visual face. I still think of myself as the girl next door, but, it will speak, words. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me since then. I've been, amazed at the amount of people that have reached out and said, you know what, that's great. And it's forced them to rethink, because if we can all move forward and all do this, people are not going, like, it just helps raise our whole profession, right? And try to get us the respect that we deserve.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, the only drawback to having your name in the business is if you're trying to scale it one day to sell it, it's going to be a little tough having your name in there. So,
well, yes, but you know what? Who knows that you could scale it? You could be like, look at Ford. Henry Ford started it, but I don't think a Ford owns it anymore.
Tim Hortons, McDonald's.
Exactly. McDonald's, there's no McDonald's that's owned it ever since, they went past their 16th franchise or whatever. If anybody's ever watched I can't remember what it's called, but the McDonald's story, right? So.
Right. That's a good point. Larson,
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. You just have to make your name bigger than life.
Ooh, yeah. I think I'll go to Larson's.
See, there, exactly. Awesome. All right, Lisa, you are next.
Well, I'm Lisa Mueller with Highmark Business Solutions, and no, I wouldn't change my name.
No, you're set.
Awesome. Well, because you're right, it's already has that. So you were one of the smart people that thought ahead.
Well, when I first started doing this, I was doing a lot of admin. I didn't want to be tied down to one thing.
Yeah.
And once I figured out kind of who I want to be now when I grow up, yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm still okay with it. So.
Well, and you're right. It's got there. You didn't pigeonhole yourself like I feel I did with the bookkeeping. Now my clients know that's not what we do, but if somebody were to call up, that's what they, they would assume, again, the data entry and everything that was of yesteryear, right? So awesome. All right, Kathy, you were next.
Kathy Badger with CSB Creative Business Solutions. So like a lot, I've been around since 2011, and I never did bookkeeping. So bookkeeping never really came into being in my name. But you'll notice that my logo on one side says Creative Business Solutions Accounting Services, and the name on the other side says CSB Creative Business Solutions. The CSB is my initials. And I have had 3 people now tell me that I'm dyslexic because it should be CBS Creative Business Solutions. And I keep telling them, it's just my initials. That's the name of the company, CSB Creative Business Solutions. Those are my initials. So that was, both are registered. My website is creativebusinesssolutions.ca.
Yeah.
And as Tanya has already pointed out, that's way too long to have as an email address. So my email address is cb-solutions.
Because again, you, like Lisa, you thought ahead. You were one of the smart ones.
Yeah. And again, because I didn't do bookkeeping. I do CFO work.
Yeah.
So I wasn't, bookkeeping wasn't really part of it, but it was to be more encompassing.
Yeah.
And I can't use financial because I'm not a CFA.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not a financial advisor. So you have to be really careful about the words that you choose to put into your business name, because you can't misrepresent yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like calling yourself an accountant if you're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Accounting professionals.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's it. We've changed with the rebranding. We've changed our titles. So our titles now, we're all a cloud accounting. And so what we decided to do, and Jen Baldock she was great with this, because I'm like, what do we call ourselves? So I am a cloud accounting professional because I have my CPB. So she says, if you've got your CPB, make yourself a cloud accounting professional. The girls, they don't have their CPB, they're cloud accounting specialists. So just that extra little difference, I'm like, oh, I like that. So yeah, so we've done that. And then at our office meeting this morning, Leanne was like, no. She says, you're the specialist. We're the professionals. I'm like, no. I said, I've got professional in my title. So that's where that comes from. Okay. She says, she got it backwards. So I guess it went out, some emails went out wrong for a week, but that's okay.
But that also brings up the point of, as you as the owner, in your email signature, what image are you portraying to when you're meeting a client?
Well, and my email signature is, I actually have 2 lines in it. So it's, Tanya Heltz, CPB, cloud accounting professional, president, cloud bookkeep or cloud business services. So I have that right below.
Exactly. So that's another important thing to look at, is what title do you give yourself within your business?
Yeah, exactly. So that way they know they're speaking to the owner for sure. Good point, Kathy. Thank you. All right. Lynn, you were next.
Okay, well, no, I wouldn't change my name. I thought long and hard of it at the time. And when I first started out, I was doing more consulting and training than I was doing bookkeeping. And to me, it was all-encompassing office services. So business name was DataLink Office Solutions. And I've stuck with it. And over the years, it's, the landscape shifts a little bit. Sometimes then you end up doing more bookkeeping, and then other times you end up doing more consulting, more teaching, more. It goes, but my email address is at lynn@datalinkofffice.com, and I keep it short, sweet, simple, easy enough for them to remember.
Yep.
And
so again, you learned all that. You thought long and hard. You were, again, one of the smart ones. All the smart people we have.
Short and sweet.
Sorry,
What?
Carol, what was that?
What?
And she is short and sweet.
Short and sweet there. Yeah, but
Thank you.
And again, this just really goes to show, why did I pick my name? I was impulsive and I did not look to what the future, and I pigeonholed myself because of that, right? So, it hasn't impacted the way that we've run the business, hasn't impacted any of that, but it's, where do we want to go? What type of client do we want to attract, and all of that. So yeah, bunch of smarty pants on the calls here. All right, Stacy, last but not least.
All right. All right. So my name is Stacy Stanley Young from Stanley Young Business Strategies. And my answer to the question is no.
Again, another smarty pants.
I love my name. I love my branding. I was saying on the call earlier that the logo that we have, it's clean, it's vibrant, it makes people, in some ways, it kind of makes people shy off because they're like, oh, we thought we were just dealing with a bookkeeper that works out of their house, not a big firm. Like, it looks like a firm. And so, yeah, I really like it. And we went with strategies, which is ever so slightly different than solutions. It's just more of a, you just don't see it as often, but it encompasses that, that we're more than just bookkeeping. We'll actually sit down with you, and our tagline is CFO on the go. And so that's what we try to sell ourselves as, is we'll be your accounting department. So,
and I love that.
Mhm.
And I love strategies. Like, I mean, as much as we have got services in the title, again, I liked solutions when I actually thought about it. I'm like, oh, I should have got solutions, but it was already too late. I'd already ordered a bunch of stuff. But again, I love strategies too, because again, that's a little bit more. I chose not, I'm like, okay, I'm doing a rebranding. I could have changed it, but I chose not to, because I didn't want to completely change what we do. It's not like I wanted to move away from the branding. I just wanted to tweak it. So I thought, you know what, at the end of the day, changing services to solutions, or strategies or something different might have been too much of a change. I was happy just with the one name change. So yeah, so that's awesome. Again, got a bunch of smarty pants on the call that think ahead. That's important. Your takeaway is think ahead. Do not box yourself in at all. So that's awesome.
Tanya, 5 years from now, you may change your mind again.
I might.
It's an evolution.
You know what? Absolutely. But at least there's a better chance that what I have, again, is a little bit more encompassing.
Yeah.
Now. So, but you're right. I very well might decide to change again, for sure. So there's a few comments. Oh no, this is last week's. No, this is still this week's. No, that's last week. Why can't I find this week to see if anybody's posted on
Facebook?
On Facebook, because I don't want to ignore people in case they're trying. Oh, here's some comments. Okay, so we have Diane who commented, and so just to share some of these. So hello everybody who's watching. So Meredith says yes, she's been thinking of this the same thing, because she does so much more than accounting, and she regrets her long URL. Oh, me too. Diane just said Soma is simply her maiden name backwards. Simplysoma.com. And Jessica says Bandora Fox says her URL is long on purpose because she wanted it to be descriptive for SEO and the ease of remembering, but she's got a shorter URL that redirects to the long one, but it hasn't been needed. She thought she may regret having bookkeeper in the name, but it hasn't been an issue, so that's awesome. And she toyed with a few different names as a DBA, but didn't take it, so she let it expire. Yeah. So, I mean, you know what? And that's good. At the end of the day, as long as you're comfortable with what you have, that's all that matters. It's, it's about what you do. And again, the SEO, that's a part of why I picked the cloud bookkeeping services, because again, I thought for SEO, but now I've learned that it's not necessarily just that. So very interesting on that. So anyway, so we've got, if some of you remember, so unfortunately we were waiting, hoping a guest could join us. I'm hoping she still can. So 2 weeks ago, we had a discussion and it actually came from a message from Lisa Mueller, who had a situation come up. So Lisa, if you just want to bring everybody up to speed on exactly what happened,
Okay.
what started this, and then we can, go on our findings.
Okay. So I had a client come to me, and he was already set up with a, I guess, trading company as far as foreign exchange goes. He was working out of country, and so he had a US business account and he was transferring in. And then he was also paying vendors in the US from his Canadian US dollar account. Well, I guess from his Canadian account, sorry. But anyhow, in the process of his last payment to a vendor, they pulled the money from the bank and it never made it to the vendor. And the reason it never made it to the vendor is because they went bankrupt. The company that I'm talking about is Encore FX. So something similar that I know a lot of us have been recommending, including me, is Firma. And they also do foreign exchange. But then while I was thinking about this, so this client lost that money. It never ended up going to the vendor, and it's now part of the bankruptcy insolvency divvying up. He was lucky in the fact that it was only 3,500 we were talking about. There are people on the list of those that lost money, 18 million euro. That's probably one of the worst. So it kind of brought up in my mind, okay, we're all recommending going away from the banks because they're high service charges. We can get better rates. We can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And then it also comes into play with, Veeam, Telepay, all the different ones. And then I started thinking, okay, just how secure is that money? We're telling our clients to go this direction because they're doing international trades. And what's the security there? I had no clue. So I phoned up Tanya and I said, okay, what do you think? Am I just out here in left field or whatever? And she goes, and then the wheels started going and it was like, oh my God, yeah, we don't know, right? So it's not just the apps and whether they're new or not, it's just what is in place. And so I actually called Firma, and they've got a $2 million insurance policy that they carry. And then they're also under FinTrack, which means that every transaction that they do, they get a copy of the invoice. They know where that money is headed, and it's all monitored by the federal government. So then I'm also wondering, when I'm hearing all this, why didn't Encore have it in place? Do they have it in place? Is there insurance? But right now, it's really hard to find any of that information out. So, it's not just, there's the fact of, I guess, if we're relying on companies, Veeam, Telepay, WayPay, whoever, it doesn't really matter. What are the protections? Is there any liability for us because we've recommended the client use this? And I'm not so worried about that, I guess, as I would just feel awful if I'd recommended something and then my client lost money. So Tanya and I have both been doing some digging on and off, and I know that's what we were supposed to have a guest speaker today about. So yeah, that's kind of the situation in a nutshell.
Yeah. So, the first thing that popped into my head, and like I say, hopefully Melissa can still be here. If not, we'll have her on next week because Melissa actually used to work for Veeam. But she was, even before she worked for Veeam, was very well aware of this. So she gave me a bunch of information. So I've got some of it still stuck in my head. So I can certainly share that part of it. But when Lisa first said to me, where my mind went, because my background was insurance, my mind went, oh my gosh, again, liability. What are we liable for? So Kathy and I actually spent some time going through some insurance policies. I think it's really important that you make sure that you've got a very good insurance policy. That would cover things like that would be one thing. Absolutely. Look at the wording. I was surprised, and I've never been on the commercial side, but again, spending 17 years, I know how to speak insuranceese. And I was really surprised at how different some of the policies were in their wording. And insurance companies love to say no. They love to deny claims, let's face it, and they love to find loopholes in wording. So that's what I was looking at. And there was like 7 or 8 policies. And I was like, I'm uncomfortable with this and this and this, because that to me looks like a hole where they could say no. So we did find a really good one. I cannot remember the name of it, but it's basically underwritten through London Life. And Kathy, what was the company
Lloyd's
name?
of London.
or sorry, Lloyd's of London, right? But what was the company name? It was started with a P or something, Prime through Lloyd's. Or
Easy
something.
Cover.
It was just Easy Cover. Okay. Yeah, and it was
Easycover.ca.
perfect. And yeah, and it was underwritten through Lloyd's of London. And Lloyd's of London is actually the very first insurance company ever. I know that. And it was, so they've been around, you know, they're not a fly by night, and they actually are known for insuring things that are different. I have not yet dug completely into our IPBC or CPB Canada policies. I still have not been able to get a meeting set with them to be able to start digging into that end of it, just to see what the coverages were. But out of the ones that Kathy and I went through, that was absolutely, you know, again, the best. So make sure you've got a good insurance policy. If there is something that you're unsure of, try to get it in writing from them, because even if it is not wrong, or sorry, even if the information that you get is wrong, if you have an email, the judges will look for a reason to side on the side of the little guy. Always. Always, always, always. So if you have something in writing from a representative of that insurance company that says, yes, this is covered, and I've been to court and I have heard, like on behalf of the insurance companies, and I have heard the judges talk about this. So if there is something, even as much as they're an employee said yes, they will allow the claim. So if there's something that you're unsure of in the wording, ask them point blank and say, just confirm with me, and make them put it in writing, because then you know that yes, it'll be covered.
So is this your errors and omissions insurance?
Well, yeah, we're looking at the errors and omissions in the CGL policies. Yeah.
Okay. No, because I'm just
And
wondering.
cyber insurance
And
too.
cyber insurance as well too.
John Ross, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the recommendation through IPVC.
Right.
So
I don't think the insurance is through John Ross anymore.
Well, it's still through John Ross. They've moved it over to Royal Sun Alliance.
Okay.
Yeah, they've moved it from, I think it was Intact to Royal Sun Alliance.
okay.
And Royal Sun Alliance, I mean, they, you know, great company. They've been around, you know, a long, long time, a lot longer than Intact has been around. So I've got, you know, I actually almost went and worked for them. I interviewed with them, and they just promoted somebody internally over me. It was down to the two of us. So they, you know, absolutely a great company with a great reputation, as John Ross is the broker.
Yeah.
So they've got, yeah, absolutely great reputation for that. I just wanted to dig in a little bit more into the cyber, and, you know, that's something that, you know, as a personal thing, as well as, you know, a board member, I'm concerned about too. Let's make sure that we've got a right policy coming out. The only thing that you need to be concerned, if you're changing insurance policies, it's very different. If you look at like car insurance or house insurance as an example, when you change, they go by the date of the claim. When did it happen? So if I have a car accident, you know, this week with somebody, and I change the next month to a different company, whether I report it today, whether I report it next month, they have to go by the day that it happened. So the old insurance company will cover it. If it happens from the time I'm with the new company covers it. Your errors and omissions is very different in the fact that if I am with, you know, company A right now, I leave next month to go to company B next month. So in 2 months, I get sued, or something is brought up against me of something that happened a year ago when I was back with company A. Neither company will cover me. Yes.
What?
Unless it's written in there. Unless it is written in there. Some insurance companies will do that. But I do know that, yes, the one we have with John Ross, myself and 2 other people have been told that no, if we leave, that's like, it's done.
Oh, if you leave and go to another one.
If I leave and go to another company,
Right.
and a suit is brought against me after I leave them of work I did before I left them, it is not covered. So that is very important. If you are looking at changing insurance companies, look into that and make sure that either the new company or the old company will cover you, because otherwise it might not be worth changing. It might just be worth buying a top-up policy.
Right.
So just want to make sure that that is thrown out there when people go looking at that as well too. And I was really blown away at that, because again, not coming from the commercial side, when I found that out, I was like, wow, because again, I was on home and auto, and it always went by who you were insured with the day it happened. So that's a little bit different. So definitely keep an eye out for that, for sure.
Yeah.
So that was what popped into my head immediately from, you know, from Lisa. The next thing that popped into my head too was an engagement letter. let's put it in our engagement letters. And I think, Kathy, I think you already have something like that in your engagement, if I'm not mistaken. Do you not? Somebody did, yeah, already had it in there with regards to the apps that you use. So, you know, that it is the due diligence, you know, the responsibility, it's the responsibility of the client to do the due diligence of the apps. Let me find the actual wording and I can share it out there. I've now added it into my engagement letter because, again, if you are sued and you have a good engagement letter, your engagement letter will fall backwards. And what I do now on my engagement letter is I have clients initial. They have to initial certain areas because somebody could say, well, I didn't read it. If you get a sympathetic judge and the judge says, look, this is all, you know, all goobly gosh, you know, nobody's going to understand it. But if they have to stop and initial each place, again, less likely. So it's likely to just stop right up front if you've got a good engagement letter. So that is ridiculously important. To have
I
a good
love 17 hats for that. Exactly.
Well, yeah, we do it in 17 hats. There is one, yeah, that's what we have it out that you to sign with that. You can use like DocuSign for that. You know, if you're a member of CPB Canada, which was the, you know, previously known as IPBC, there is an engagement letter that they have. I've taken that engagement letter, merged it with a few different things, again, you know, different things. So I've taken that one and I've modified it. But I will definitely make sure to share the wording and the link so you guys don't have to worry about writing it down of what I added in. A lawyer hasn't looked at that, but again, with my kind of background of being in courts and insurances, I'm comfortable with the wording. A lawyer's looked at the rest of my engagement, but I'm comfortable with the wording of that. But that's certainly something you can do to protect yourself. Now, that all aside, as Lisa said, we don't want our clients, that's our reputation. Whether we're legally liable or not, that's our reputation.
Oh, yeah.
So we need to do our due diligence as well, too. And I know in the past, I have done what I thought was due diligence. You know, I look into the company. I don't start referring a company until I've really met with them, looked at them, watched them for about a year, and then used them myself for at least 6 months before I start doing that. But I never would have thought to look into this aspect. So what we did find out, like, I know, Lisa, do you want to share first what you found out? Do you want me to kind of talk about what I remember Melissa told me because she's still not here yet? So something's obviously come up.
Okay, I'm gonna refresh my memory here and see what all I texted you.
Well, then why don't I go first? And I think we talked about it. I think we talked more than just text. So why don't I go first? So what I do remember from the conversation with Melissa is she said there's two ways that places are set up. They're either set up as a transferring agent, I believe was the wording that she used, or they're set up as a bank. If they're set up as and this is Canada, so, you know, when Lillian comes back on, she might have something different to add for the US, but I'm sure it'd probably be very similar. A transferring agent has to have a trust account. So the money is not theirs, essentially. It's like an e-transfer. They just handle the back end transfer that kind of goes into a trust account before it gets transferred out. Now, if everything is working properly, they should not be touching that trust account at all because the money is not theirs and there's a lot of fines with that. If they are going to be like Veeam has a wallet, for example, so the way that Veeam, again, normally works, WayPay would be the same, a transferring agent, Pluto is the same, Encore FX, a little bit different. So again, Lisa spoke to them, I'll let her, and she spoke to WayPay, so let her speak to more details on those. But again, transferring agent, the fund's not theirs. They just boom, take their fees and send it off, and that's it. If it is a wallet, like the Veeam wallet, or if they're going to be a bank and use the funds while, so that like the banks, what the banks do, insurance companies, lots of other companies do this. It's common practice for them to make money for the few days while it's sitting in there. They'll put it in some investments. They'll get some quick investments, make some money on it before they finalize the transfer. If that happens, they're using it, then they have to be registered as a bank, in which case in Canada, that would be protected under a CDIC, which if you're making millions of dollars in transfers, not going to do you any good because that's only covered under 60,000.
100, I looked it up.
Per account, I
Higher than
believe.
that.
Higher, it's 100 per account.
Is okay, so it's gone up since I last looked into it. So yeah, okay, so that's good. So yeah, so that would be, you've got that type of protection in there. And then yeah, so Veeam is set up like that, except for the Veeam wallet. So main Veeam is a transferring agent. Veeam wallet is set up like a bank account. So that it's sitting there, they've set that up. It is regulated through the Canada Payment Association. There's a lot of government guidelines. That said, there still could be a company that does not do what they're supposed to do. They could dip into that trust account and they're not, they shouldn't do that. So again, this is like you look at, lawyers use trust accounts all the time. There's still nothing really, like, they're not supposed to dip in. They can lose their license. They can lose a lot of things. Let's face it, some people still do dip into those trust accounts. So there's no way that you just have to make sure that you're really using a reputable company to be able to do that. So Lisa, what is it that you remember now finding out from?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to bring up though is like the reputable company part.
It's hard.
It is. We'll take that with a grain of salt because like originally the fellow that started up Encore FX started his company, his trading company, and it was actually bought out by Western Union. And so now I think it's Custom House Western Union or something like that. It's name branded changed. So once he did that, then he turned around and started up Encore FX. So like he's been in business doing this for a lot of years. Something that has started overnight or whatever. But like I said, I don't know what they carry for insurance or anything like that. However, they were offering something called options, which I don't know what that is, but it's extremely volatile and it has to do with the foreign exchange. And that's where when COVID hit, everybody got scared and they had all these options open and everything collapsed on them, basically, is what happened. But Beam was the other one I talked to. And what I got back from their lawyers is all the funds we pulled are held in our merchant account and are not Beam's. They belong to our customers and would be returned to customers for all incomplete payments. This includes balances held in Beam wallets. And then, like I said, the FX has got a insurance policy, also underwritten by Lloyd's. And so you can look at it. It's actually on their web, and they talk a little bit about FinTrack. Yeah, that was about as far as I got with this so far. Kind of got sidetracked this week, so.
Well, and obviously Melissa got sidetracked too, so because I know she was, yeah.
But when, like, from my point of view, it's another world that I don't really understand. And so when they're telling me they have all these policies, and you look at it, well, there's all these different things, but I don't think there's a policy against bankruptcy, And
no, and again, they're not supposed to take those funds, but it did they, again, which and Bianca pointed out here on Facebook that with RBC buying WayPay last year, it definitely makes her feel more comfortable using them. But again, you're right. In this, take a look at what happened, in 1929, the Great Depression. Banks went under too.
Yeah.
So
even if you look at the CDIC insurance coverage, it does not insure you against losses due to fraud or theft.
Yep. So
the CDIC insurance wouldn't help you if the company is being fraudulent. You're hooped. Anyway.
Curious on the QB payments because I send an invoice. My customer pays it. The money goes to Intuit. Then Intuit puts it into my bank account.
So, so there are merchant services, but they would fall under similar rules that money should not be theirs. Now, I will say with the payments, the Intuit payments, my understanding with Intuit, and I could be wrong about this, but my understanding is now that they've gone to a faster payment date, just like with the payroll, they are actually funding it before they get the money. So they're giving it to you before they've actually got the money, because it's generally under the Canadian Payment Association, there are so many days that the money, like
I wait 5 days before I get my money. I do not get it like I just did when I set it up for Monday's payment. That money will come out of my client's account on Monday, but it won't go into my bank account till probably Friday.
On QuickBooks payments?
Yep.
Really? No. I get mine within.
Oh, sorry, that was Telpay. Sorry.
QuickBooks payments is generally the next day now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to check because I actually just did have a client pay me on July 1st. I'm curious to see when it hit my bank account. I'm going to check that while you guys continue on. I'm curious.
Yeah, because if you're transferring money, not necessarily from a credit card, that's 5 days. Whether you're WayPay, whether you're Veem, whether you're TelPay, the only way to do it faster is to fund it faster. Otherwise, because it takes them 3 days to find out if the money has bounced or not. And that is Canadian Payment Association guidelines.
Yeah.
The credit cards is very different. And the credit cards, I think it's generally 3 days for credit cards. Just to, again, it sits pending in the back end, and then they've got to process it, through the banks. But Intuit is now, they're the only ones that have bumped it up to the next day, which is why I assumed, and again, I will say I'm assuming this, that they fund it, because like with the payroll, they fund it because, again, payroll, generally that's why you find that you're looking at a 5-day for your payroll as well, 4 to 5 day, because that way they know for a fact that the money is cleared before they deposit it into the employee's bank account.
Right. TelPay is 2 days.
Fund it, then it'll go faster.
And I just looked in my account, and that money was actually in my bank account on July 2nd.
Yeah.
I paid it July 1st. I invoiced it July 1st just because I had nothing else to do on the 1st. So I did all my invoicing for June 30th.
Yep.
I paid it in the late afternoon, and it's in my bank account on July 2nd.
Yeah. So now, if that's the case,
they're
actually taking the risk. They're taking the risk because they're paying us before they actually got funded.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
And like I say, it maybe I'm not aware of the rules changing for the merchant payments. So if somebody else out knows there, please feel free to correct me on that. But I know for a fact with the payroll that they actually fund the payroll, that they pre-fund it. They give a little bit, because generally most of the time you get notified the same day, most of the time, that the funds bounce. So that's, same day or the very next day, which is why, they're pretty confident by the time they do it, but it's still funding it with payroll. So like you say, they could be funding it. That's just what I assumed, that all of a sudden when I'm like next day, they've got to have the money to fund it. So they're really acting as a bank themselves, in which case that doesn't put us at risk. It puts them at risk.
Right. Good to know.
Yeah.
Back into my merchant account, if the credit card is processed today, well, Friday's, process the credit card on Monday, the money's in my bank account on Tuesday. Process the credit card on Friday, it won't show up until Monday or Tuesday because of the weekend.
Right.
Okay. So maybe that was just a mass change that went through, or maybe I've just worked with the wrong ones in the past. Who knows then? So that's interesting, because I know they fall under different guidelines in the Canadian Payment Association, and I've never really looked into them. I've only looked into when you're actually processing funds, because your credit card has the fraud protection built in these days, right? So there's not as much.
To change something, because I did used to wait a lot longer. Like it would say it was on its way. Now I get an email within an hour saying, oh, so-and-so paid you. It's already processed the little link thing in my QuickBooks. And then, I get an email the next day, funds are on the way. And here it was in my bank account the very next day.
Yeah.
I mean, I pay fees for it, right? But I don't care. I got paid the next day. And I didn't have to go anywhere. That covers my 2.5%.
Exactly. And you know what, a lot of these things as to what the coverage is that these apps have, the apps or the companies have, that's in the terms and conditions that nobody really reads. So again, this is now where it's due diligence. When you're signing up, start reading. Kathy, I bet you read all of them. Kathy, she reads them.
Well, and it's also interesting because I don't know if anyone has heard about Wirecard, who has declared bankruptcy.
Oh, boy.
So there's a really, really good article in the Wall Street Journal, and the title is how Wirecard went from Techstar to bankrupt. So even a company that starts out good. So this is a company that started in Munich, Germany, right? So someplace fairly reputable, right? But basically, this company is pushing payments, so it does payment pushing exactly the same way. But a company can start out great, and it can go in the tank, just like all of our clients can go in the tank. You know, bad business decisions are made, right? Crap happens, which makes it really difficult for us to try and take that on our shoulders as something that we have to feel that we're responsible for. And I
Yeah.
don't think that that's fair,
No.
right? I don't think it's something that we have to be responsible for, because even companies that have been great, like Tanya already pointed out, 1929, there was a bank, there was crash, right? There
Yeah.
were banks that went toast. Now, at least the advantage we have in Canada is we don't have that many banks. Depending on where you live and work. So I'm in Alberta. In Alberta, if you deal with the Alberta Treasury branch or a credit union, 100% of your deposits are guaranteed, which is
Nice.
actually better than the CDIC.
Yep.
So it really becomes, I think, the responsibility of the business owner, right, to ensure that where they're dealing is reputable, and that they stay on top of that. But I think we do have some responsibility, especially as you pointed out, Lisa, if we are recommending them, right? We
Well,
do
and
need to
that's
do some due diligence.
there's so many clients that are coming to me now, and they're doing things, you know, doing the old-fashioned wire transfer or whatever, and they're going, isn't there a better way? And well, yeah, there is, but you know, and I want to be able to go to them and say, okay, these are your risks, these are your, you know, whatever. Have a look at this company. Tell me what you think. Is it worth it? And
yeah.
I guess for the most part, I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable with that. But you know, how it's just checking me as far as what do I have to look at? What do I need to be able to tell them? Because they're looking at me, like you say, like a trusted advisor. That's what we're all trying to become. And that,
Well, and that word pro advisor gets thrown around in a lot of different areas. Like I have a client too. I mean, yeah, I'm an advanced certified pro advisor for QuickBooks Online. In his mind, I'm a pro advisor in everything that we talk about.
Yeah.
And when I say I don't know, he goes, well, you're the pro advisor. I'm like, yeah, in QuickBooks, not in this.
That's right.
But it's
Not
that
yet.
mindset, right?
Well, and let's just say, like, you know, as Kathy said, we really shouldn't, although I think it's natural for us. Maybe it's somebody's going to end up throwing something at me if they were close up. Maybe it's because we're women. We like to shoulder a lot. I think it's natural more so with women, you know, natural to a lot of us in the profession to try to want to take that responsibility. However, it really, at the end of the day, is also the responsibility of the business owner. As a business owner yourself, think about it. If something were to happen, you know, not in, you know, your bookkeeping business, but somebody else you dealt with, and you go to complain to them or you go to take them to court, did you do your due diligence? Well, you're the business owner. You should have known this. You should have really looked at this, right? So but it's hard. It's hard to try to, you know, when our reputation is sitting on it, it's hard to find that happy medium, I think.
well, and I think the other thing is, like you say, so many of us have our processes now, so that if you're going to be with me, you're going to only be on QBO, and you're going to use Receipt Bank, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and we're going to do it this way. This is my way, and you're going to adapt to it. Well, have we looked at all the risks? And you know, there's risk to everything, and I get that, but this kind of floored me a little bit, I guess, and it just kind of made me go, maybe I need to pay more attention.
Well, and like I say, it was perfect. This has been, you know, 2 weeks we've talked about this. You know,
Yeah.
it's something that we've talked about, you know, on other boot camp calls and just other calls in general with different people. So and I actually did share the link that Kathy talked about. That is shared in there because that's it. It happened. Now, how does this happen? And it's funny because I'm one of those people. Even when this started to happen, you know, we've been through a couple of, you know, almost recessions, you know, in our lifetimes, but because I know enough about, you know, the Great Depression and what happened there, I've seen the movies, my grandparents talked about it. What happened? Everybody went running. Think back to that movie, you know, It's a Wonderful Life. What happened? Everybody went in and said, give me my money. And again, what did I just say that the banks do with that money? Well, it's sitting there. They invested in those couple of things. So if we can resist the urge to pull out and know it's going to come down and it's going to bounce back, that actually is better for our economy as a whole instead of jumping and doing that. Now, my sister went and did that when, I don't know what it was. It was before we moved here. So it was over 10 years ago. Anyway, she went, market started to bottom out. She flipped out, took all the money out of the RESPs. We left ours in. We made more money because she took it out, put it back in. We held strong. I said, nope, we're going to leave it. I'm not going to be part of that because the more people that do that, that will crash the market. I don't want to be a part of that. I want to help try to keep the market as strong as I can. And I will take that risk. So we left it in. It wasn't a big difference, but we ended up making more. It's still in there. It was probably, $1,000 difference, but we're not talking, big differences, but that's it. And that's kind of where things like this happen. Like you said, Lisa, everybody panicked, pulled out.
Kind of like the brick shares.
Sorry?
Kind of like brick shares.
Yeah, exactly.
I got them somewhere.
Yeah. So, everybody has to do what's right for them.
No, I always laugh at those because when not the happy part, when my mom passed away and I went to the safety deposit box to take out all the stuff, my mom still had our brick shares in there because lo and behold, by the time we got ours, they weren't worth the paper they were printed on because Canada gave every Canadian citizen I think it was 5 brick shares each. And by the time most of the people got them in the beginning, they just went and cashed them. So by the time the other half of the people got them, they weren't worth anything.
It's a souvenir.
Yep.
Sorry, Kathy, you looked like you were going to say something.
Nope, it's all good.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Melissa didn't join us. Hopefully we can, have her on and there's nobody else has really got some. Oh, wait, here's Diane is actually put a post. So if the IPBC policies move the underwriters from intact to royal and we get sued for client work when the policy of intact are recovered. So great question, Diane. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, we are. I have that in writing from them because that was a concern. And I do have that in writing directly from Laura at John Ross. She did email me that back. We had that discussion. And yes, we absolutely are covered because they've moved over. They've changed to move it. You're still with them. So yes, that absolutely. So if anybody, do not worry about that. You're still good. So I failed to mention that. So thank you, Diane, for bringing that up. So yes, again, confirmed in writing. If anybody needs it, I have it in writing. Happy to share.
Oh, good.
Yes, we're good on that end. Sometimes it helps, this not being my first career, right? So
well, and you're getting that information from, IPBC, CPB Canada. This is the place to go to. You get a great discount. This is where you should go. And, like sheep, I went, it was great. Yeah. I saved a lot of money, but I'll tell you one thing. Last year, when they started taking my payments out, I didn't catch that they took the first payment because I did over 3 months. The next 2 payments didn't come out. I hadn't caught it. My assistant didn't catch it. Come February this year, Lady goes, oh, you're up for renewal. I said, great. She goes, but you have to pay for last year. I said, well, that comes out every month for 3 months. She goes, well, the rep, Ian McDonald or whatever his name was, he left and somebody didn't grab his account. So your other 2 payments didn't get processed. So you need to pay $700 before we can charge, or whatever it was, 500, whatever it was. It was 300 each. It's not that, but whatever. You got to make these 2 payments first before we can renew. I went, no, that's not my fault. I said, I will renew, but you can start making the payments and it'll be for 5 months, not 3.
I was okay. And that's good. I was just saying, I'm on the fence about that because as a business owner, you should know. But so yes, if you worked it out with them to split it over a longer period, then yeah, absolutely. I was just, I've had people try to throw that.
That must have happened to all of their accounts. She goes, well, not everybody. It was just the ones that were on auto credit card. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not on auto credit card. I just pay them once and it's done.
Yeah. Well,
But I've heard that from a few, that the same thing happened with a few different people, you know, and that's really good that they did work it out, because you're right. That's a lot to have to come up to. The onus should be on the business owner, but let's work together, because it fell through the cracks on both sides. So let's work together on both sides to get it fixed.
I could have paid it, but it was right when I was doing my RSPs and it was the beginning of tax season. It's kind of like, do I want to fork out that much money right now? No. So I thought, well, I'll push the envelope and say, no, you guys can fix this. Anyways.
Exactly. It fell through on both sides.
Yeah.
Fell through on both sides. So work together. So I'm glad that they did that. They seem really good, you know, to work with and to deal with. And I met Laura at IPBC last year. I was the director who volunteered to go in, because I guess nobody was that excited, and I'm not that excited about insurance, but at least I, again, understand insurancees, and it was very interesting to go in and to listen to that. And that's when I got to know Laura and started to dig in a little bit more, you know, about it with all of that, because I understand the lingo, right? So that's good that worked out.
It's interesting to know that, because there's so many of these online banks that are coming on, Orange and Tangerine and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, move your money over here, you'll make so much more money. And it's like,
well, and they need to look at who they're underwritten by.
Well, that's just it. I mean, like, I'm offensive. I'm fine.
Like, I know Tangerine that's a Scotia. I do believe that's Scotia. You know, PC and something else is, you
Simply
know,
Financial is CIBC. I don't know about PC Financial though. They used to be CIBC.
Oh, but they're not anymore.
They don't exist anymore, do they?
No.
Well, they kept the credit card.
And they moved over to Simply. They moved to
the banking
first story from.
Yeah, right. So, but, I mean, think about, what is that company, Tanya, that Yosef is part of?
Oh,
Relay, Replay, something.
I want to say Relay.
I don't know.
Relay Financial. And they're US right now, but yes, exactly the same thing. They're going to be a new online company in Canada, but they are in the States. Yeah, Relay Financial. If I was going to say, if I get this wrong,
in the States, they can file a Chapter 11. By the time you get that letter in the mail that says they've filed for Chapter 11, they're already done. You ain't getting any money out of them.
Yeah.
And I've had clients go through that with dealing with their customers who their head office is in the States, right?
Yeah. And I think, you know, and it's really sad to say, but it's a risk of doing business.
It is.
We have to, you know, it's a risk of doing business.
Yeah.
That you just
even the banks. Envision Financial, there's a branch here in Maple Ridge. There's a few all over the place right now. The only one open is Surrey or New West.
Wow.
All the other ones around are closed during COVID.
Temporarily due to COVID, or?
Yeah.
So are they working from home, or they're just like
closed?
It's closed. Wow.
Yeah.
Machines are available, but
and that's it.
They're going to reopen one at a time, but we're not seeing it anytime soon.
No.
Huh.
In fact, the place up by me on High Street, they have actually reduced their space size because there's one full section that's no longer occupied by Envision.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a business owner, if that's your bank you deal with,
yeah.
Now you can't go to Maple Ridge or Coquitlam. You got to drive all the way to Langley or Surrey or New West. That's a long drive.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, we went over as usual, but we started late, so that's fine. But yeah, hopefully everybody got, you know, a lot out of today. Again, I will take that wording. I promise I will. Sometime tonight or tomorrow, I will get that wording into the link here. So if you guys want to see it, make sure it comes up. Just make sure that you tag yourself in there. Even if you just put following, you will get any comment that goes into there on Facebook, or reach out to me directly. And then that's that's
question
great.
On that note.
Oh, yes.
So right at the moment, so I don't have that in my engagement. So I get the blurb. I want to add it to my engagement. Would I send out new engagements to all my existing clients?
So,
or just new clients going forward?
So I send, and it's funny, you talk to different people will feel differently. I had this conversation with somebody who said it's interesting that I do an engagement every year because their business advisor said don't do it unless it changes. Well, again, our industry is ever changing. So what happens is when I send out the renewal offer, it automatically has a new engagement with it. So that way, if there have been changes, I don't have to worry about it. If not, I feel it's a nice refresher because maybe they didn't pay too much attention to the last one. So I do it every single year. Some people feel differently. Some people feel only if there's changes, but I figure if I do it every single year as part of the renewal, there's no questions. I don't have to worry. Oh, which one did somebody fall under? Which do I need to send a new one? It's just done. It's automatic. And that's it. So, and of course, with the new business name, I thought this is a perfect because I don't want to raise people's prices now. Now is not the time to raise their prices unless the scope of work or amount of work has changed. So I've basically told everybody that, I will be sending out new engagements with the new business name, the new branding. However, their price won't change at this point, unless there's, again, I just don't feel it's the right economy. Yes, I know I could, especially because the way that we've helped it, 100% of our businesses have stayed in business, are opening up. Nobody at this point, knock on wood, nobody's, having to fold or whatnot. They're all rebounding nicely. Again, I just don't feel it's the right environment. But when I do increase my rates,
And
it might be a percentage or two higher to kind of cover that. But at this point, I'm just going to send it the new engagements. Again, that way it's all in there and that it'll just be the engagement. It will be the price part. Like I say, unless the scope of work has changed more than just the temporary COVID or their amount of work has changed. Otherwise, I'll revisit it in 6 months.
Has anybody seen the new CBWS spreadsheet come out from CRA yet for the next 3 months?
No, and I don't expect to see one there yet. We still have another week or so, I think.
Oh, okay.
The reason why I don't expect to see it come up, I'm just looking now as I'm saying this, is because they haven't actually announced what the new changes, if there's going to be any. And I figured that they'll probably announce, I'm thinking probably next week. If they don't, then I'll be assuming, that it's just going to fall under the previous month and then maybe next month. But as of right now, there's no new one. So I'm just looking now. Where is it? Current version. Yep. Well, they added period 4, but there's no changes other than period 4. So all I've done is, if you're using the same one that I've sent out to all the boot campers, Carol, I'm just adding another column in there. I'm just taking the original and just basically copied it over because your calculations are the same. So, but it is there. There is a version 4.
In the first tab where you put in for the period.
Oh, you're right. Your period changes. You're right. Okay. Yeah. But so it was updated on June the 25th. So there is a new one there.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's on the CRA website?
It is. And Bianca said they're shutting the website down for upgrades this weekend.
Yes,
so
see that.
Grab it now if you want it now or wait. But that's interesting that they're shutting it down for upgrades, because I wonder then if that doesn't mean that Monday, Trudeau's been quiet this week. I wonder if that means Monday there's going to be lots of announcements or something about the changes on it. If there's updates to the website, then there's probably changes. I would imagine if they're doing a full shutdown, it's probably just not a back update of the SUs or the CERB. So they're probably doing some changes. I think maybe not. Who knows? We'll find out next week.
Yeah, I'm not worrying about it today. It was just the thought of what I get to look forward to.
Right. Well, because it's coming up next week or the week after. I think it's the week after, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Rennie, for joining us. Lynn, I hope you're enjoying yourself, because you've joined us a few times, and I'm glad your allergies are good today. So it's a nice way to wind up the week too. So yeah.
Well,
My day is not over.
she's in Ontario, Lynn, so she's
I
already.
know.
Yeah, except for us Westerners, we still have work to do.
Yeah,
I
so
give you all
that's-
permission to close for the day and go out and have a drink, or just relax, or put your feet in the pool, or go for a canoe ride or kayaking or whatever it is that you do for fun. I give you all
it's
permission.
all here.
So if anybody gives you heck for not working this afternoon, blame it on Tanya.
Well,
Work today.
I figured I worked on Wednesday to try to catch up on some stuff. It was a quiet day. No one's phoning, no one's emailing me. So because I put in those hours on Wednesday, I'm taking today, or at least this afternoon, off for Canada Day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good job, Stacy.
Nice.
oh, when we got up in BC this morning, it was a balmy 11 degrees. It's now a balmy 13, and their light rain is coming down torrentially.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
Yeah,
got
well,
the
maybe you're
fence on.
better off to stay inside. Turn on the
Yeah.
fireplace there then if you go.
We're going through a bit of a heat wave in Manitoba, so it's like, I don't know, 35 degrees with the relative humidity. It's just sickening.
Wow.
Yeah, it's sticky.
Crazy.
Yeah.
At least I
And
can
we're not
put your clothes.
and we're not used to humidity. So anything that gives us any type of relative humidity, we're all like, oh, we're dying.
Yes. That's the one thing I did not miss when I moved out of Ontario and come back. I did not miss the humidity. But the one thing when I left Alberta, I did not miss, although I loved the Chinooks, I had a really love-hate relationship with the Chinooks. I loved them because it was nice, but I actually had migraines, so I couldn't enjoy them. So yeah, the change in the pressure caused the migraine, so I could not enjoy them. So
You just need to move to Edmonton, because that's what I did. Got rid of my migraines by moving from Calgary to Edmonton. No more Chinooks.
well, you should have told me that year. I've already settled roots down. You should have told me that 15 years ago. Well, I guess I've been back here for almost 25 years. So yeah, 23, 24. Anyway,
And you just renovated.
actually, yes, more than just renovated, because we did, my husband, and maybe I'll take a picture and post it. Oh, I'm going to wait till it looks pretty. We just did our front. So
Okay.
yeah, we did the interlocking because last summer we did the driveway. We did a little skinny single driveway. And so I went to a great big 20-foot double driveway, not one of those double driveways that you still have to worry about, hitting the other door. I wanted an oversized double. So it's 20 feet wide, but then that mean that we had no front walkway. It was just all grass. So he just did the front walkway today. So he's still got to put the sand in, tamp it down, but he's got the interlocking, and we went with great big stones. Our last house, we went with smaller stones. I love the look of the big stone. God, they're gorgeous.
Nice.
So I will post that up once we get that done. So that's, yes. So they just did that. So my daughter and husband, I can't take any credit. I just sat here and watched them.
Well, you were working.
I worked while they did that. So, but anyway, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for making it today. Have a very good long weekend. Try not to work too hard for those of you that are working through the rest of the day. And we will talk to you all soon.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay,
Take care.
thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.